Thank you very much. My name is Blaine Monahan. I'm the president and CEO of this company. We are focused on copper gold porphyry projects in British Columbia. Our goal is to become BC's leading copper gold exploration company, and we're off to an excellent start. All of our projects are located in north central BC. This is a very important slide for us. It gives me an opportunity to talk about two things that are very important in BC as far as your biggest risks. One is First Nations, the other is infrastructure. We spend a lot of time and effort developing, building, strengthening our relationships with First Nations partners. If they are in support of your project, it moves forward. If it doesn't, or if they don't, it doesn't. The other thing is infrastructure. So we're very fortunate that we have First Nation support, and all of our projects are located close to infrastructure. Forward-looking statements, I'm only going to make one big one, and I'll tell you when it comes up. That's not true. I'll make several, but there's one very big one. So why Pacific Ridge? This is all about copper, and it's all about BC. So if we're thinking about the electrification of society, we're thinking about declining supply or increased political risk in South America or more recently Central America, all of the seniors are looking for projects in safe jurisdictions like British Columbia. They're looking to diversify their geographic risk. So we're seeing a lot of activity in BC, more activity than we've seen in a lot of years on behalf of the seniors. We're seeing the strategic investments. We're seeing the joint ventures, and we're seeing the acquisitions. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here at Pacific Ridge. We are trying to find a project that is big enough and has the grade to attract M&A. And I think we have that with our flagship Clayul. We acquired this asset in January 2020. We've now completed close to 20,000 meters at this project, and we've outlined something already that's very large, about 760 meters by 600 meters north-south and up to 650 meters depth, and it remains open. And we're reporting excellent grades. We own this project 100%. And we also have another project called RDP, which we've optioned out to Antofagasta, one of the world's largest copper miners. This isn't a forward-looking statement, but RDP wasn't the project that Antofagasta wanted. They wanted Clayul, they wanted exposure to Clayul, but we weren't prepared to do a deal on it. So we said, how about RDP? And they took that opportunity. We also have a project called Chuchi, which we planned to drill last year, but we were unable to because of fires. But we will be drilling it this year, and we think this also represents an excellent opportunity for new discovery in BC. So I only have enough time to talk about Clayul this year, so I'm really going to focus in on that. But these are our three core projects. We have 5. We own 4 outright, and one is we have an option to acquire 75% interest. Management, I'm Blaine. I have a very strong technical team, and actually one of our young geologists is in the front row, Ali. Raise her hand up there. She's doing a great job. She's also going to take some photos. She's up in the field. She came on in 2021. Ali loves being up there. It's great to have her on board, but we've got a very strong technical team. It's headed up by Dr. Jerry Carlson. I replaced him in 2021. He remains as exec chair, and he leads the technical team. As a matter of fact, he's going to be awarded I forget exactly the award he's going to be receiving at AMEBC on Wednesday night, but he has a long, distinguished track record, and he leads the team comprised of Danette Schwab and Paul Jago, and they're supported by a strong, independent technical committee. So I help raise the interest and awareness, access the capital, they develop the plans, and execute, and it's worked out very well. Shares issued, 130 million shares. We only have one analyst covering us right now, and they have a target price of 75 cents. So that would represent a pretty healthy return from where we're trading today at about 16 cents. Large shareholders, Crescat out of the States own about 19%. Centerra owns 13%. Delphi, a German fund, owns about 11%. So it's a pretty healthy ownership. But obviously, I'm still looking for a corporate strategic investment, and I hope to get that this year. You can sort of see why we were excited by Clayul. When we acquired this option initially in January 2020, it had returned some pretty spectacular intervals. And that's what I always communicated to people in our inaugural drill program in 2021. I'd be very happy to hit what some of the past operators had intercepted. But as a matter of fact, our 2021 results were some of the best results ever. That set the stage for an even bigger program in 2022. And last year, 2023, was our largest program ever with over 10,000 meters of drilling. We have materially grown the size of this deposit. That's actually a forward-looking statement too. It is not technically a deposit because we don't have a 43-101 report, but internally we refer to it as a deposit. It's big, about 760 meters by 600 by 650 meters in depth. And if you were to give it a specific gravity of 2.85, you'd already have a lot of tonnage there. Internally, our minimum target for this is 250 million tons grading 0.5 copper equivalent. This is your forward-looking statement. If we're not there, we're close. And I'm hopeful that this year's program, if we're not there, is going to put us over that point. I think that's the minimum tonnage and minimum grade for a project like this to work in north central BC. And this is just really sort of comparing the grade profile of Clyoul to similar deposits and mines in BC. I remember when I first started and I was talking about some of these historical numbers, a lot of people weren't terribly interested. And I said, well, listen, these grades compared quite favorably to a lot of operations that are already in production. So we created this slide. We're looking at some similar deposits and mines in BC. You can see the copper values are comparable. We have higher gold values. And again, these are selected intervals, so I am cherry picking. But overall, similar copper, higher gold, so overall a higher copper equivalent, higher gold equivalent. So again, I think the grade profile here works. I think we're very close to the size. And again, that'll be our goal this year of continuing to expand the size of this body. Principally right now to depth, we haven't identified a porphyry core, but we think this year's drilling has provided us a vector to do so. That's going to be a big focus for us this year. So where we are, we're in the Quesnel terrain. The Quesnel terrain essentially hosts all of Canada's porphyry mines. There's Red Chris in the Stikine terrain, which is principally to the east, but most of the mines in operation are to the south. The closest mine to us, porphyry mine, is Mount Milligan, and we have a lot of projects that are in close proximity. Actually, our Onho adjoins Mount Milligan, their western border. But you can see Clyoul, it's very well situated, and this is an infrastructure standpoint. We're only 5 kilometers off that road and power. So we basically move all of our heavy goods up along that road. Then we take a helicopter up into site, and we typically work from June to the end of September. At some point in time, we're going to want to construct a road into the project area, but that capital expenditure right now would be better spent continuing to grow the size of the deposit. And again, this is just a sort of visual. We're looking west here, so we move all the heavy goods up along that road. There is an airstrip, and then we just helicopter everybody up into site. And mentioned again, we sort of get started in early June, and we get out of there in September. What we're showing here, we tested a big extent, so the green holes are the collars from this year. So we tested an area measuring 1,300 meters by 600 by 650 meters vertical depth. This year's program was very exciting because, you know, we've done a lot of work at this project now. We probably have the best understanding of this project of any other operator. We've pushed out into a number of other blocks that a lot of other operators felt weren't mineralized, and they are. So we have the Clyoul Main Zone Central Block, which is a higher standing block of mineralization. And then you have these other blocks to the north, the east, the west. And a lot of operators felt there wasn't mineralization in these blocks, but our drilling has proved that there is. So we'll look to continue to follow up in this year's drill program. Just a visualization of some of the intervals here. We're showing greater than a 0.2 copper equivalent in red. You can see this is a pretty big area we're testing, and have continued to intersect mineralization greater than 0.2 copper equivalent. So that would be typically your minimum cutoff point that we're using here. And this is a cross section, and important to keep in mind, this is a big cross section. This is a kilometer deep. And what I'd like to really point out here is hole 69. That was the last hole of this year's program. It's the deepest mineralized intercept we've encountered to date at Clyoul. And at the very bottom of the hole, we encountered about 45 meters of a 0.58 copper equivalent. So that's the deepest mineralized interval. It's moderate to high grade, and we think that's now provided us a vector for a higher grade porphyry center at depth. That's what we'll be targeting next year. So again, when we think about Clyoul, it's a big project area. We own it 100%. There are a number of other targets, but we've been focused on the Clyoul main zone. We did test a few other targets there this year, but with just a single hole each. So there's a lot of other potential at some of these other target areas. But again, our goal this year for Clyoul is just continuing to push it out, finding higher grade mineralization. If we haven't already reached that 250 million ton minimum, I think we're very close. And if we have success this year, I think that's going to get us across the line. Anyways, thank you very much for your time.